Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the 100th episode of the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. No
Boo.
stops, no breaks, all gas here. Every week for 100 weeks, the show has been going on. If one thing I can say is I commit to the bit. But we are here to celebrate this 100th episode with not one, not two, but three guests, where we're going to talk about four films for the first time here on this version of the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPM Crew Podcasting Network. We're going to be highlighting some 1950s Jimmy Stewart, and we have assembled the crew, starting first, the fearless leader of the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network, Mr. Mike Hilty.
I just bowed. You can't see me bow on an audio podcast. What a fucking idiot this guy is at 5 in the morning.
At, at approximately 5:30 in the morning, Central Standard Time, Mike did indeed bow. Um,
Technically isn't one of the movies from the 60s?
Yes,
Oh, yes.
it is. Blood of the Phoenix.
Lies. Lies, Shane.
these
Lies.
numbers on IMDb are small. For my
Early for
6:30 in the
you.
morning eyes. But no, so mostly 1950s Jimmy Stewart. The most important thing, these are all Jimmy Stewart movies. So after the first two were picked, it kind of seemed like we're going in that direction. And next up, we have the king of physical media here on the SPM crew. It is Adam Ritchie.
I'll salute in silence. Hey, everyone. Good to see you all.
All right, Luke, up to you about whether or not you're going to curtsy next.
Just raise an
And
eyebrow gently.
this man knows how to flicks and chill better than anybody else here on the SPDM crew. It is Luke.
Hello, no Gertie here, just hello.
No wink, no nod, no high five. No, cool. All right.
I'm obnoxiously waving in silence on an audio podcast.
Yes.
So, but yes, we have convened to talk about a quartet of films here for this episode. We have Anatomy of a Murder from 1959, The Flight of the Phoenix from 1965, Harvey from 1950, and Winchester 73, so from 1950. So over the course of this episode, we are going to run through all four of these films, and let's get started. Because this is indeed my weekly show where, usually it's my guest and I each pick a film related in some shape or form, and hopefully by the end of this episode you have two films to go check out. But this time there are four, because there's four of us. You could follow that math. I am sorry I'm making you do math. But let's start with 1959's Anatomy of a Murder. An upstate Michigan lawyer defends a soldier who claims he killed an innkeeper due to temporary insanity after the victim raped his wife. What is the truth, and will he win this case? And this is from director Otto Preminger, and you guessed it, starring Jimmy Stewart. We also have Lee Remick, Ben Gazzara, and some others, including George C. Scott. But let's go with, because this was Adam's choice, correct? So, Adam, you get to go first for this one. So, what were your general thoughts on Anatomy of a Murder?
General thoughts is that this was much better than I was expecting or hoping for. I'm not, as you guys know, I'm not a fan of courtroom dramas, but I do tend to like a lot of them. But I think I just watched the better ones, and because I'm not a big fan of procedural TV shows. And one of my key notes for this is that I've just written so Matlock, because this is very much like Matlock. I used to watch with my dad in the 80s. Was that Andy Griffith? Something. Yep. Anyway, Matlock. It reminded me a lot of that, but it's still like, I mean, Jimmy Stewart. Watching these four films, especially, I've always liked Jimmy Stewart. And I'm probably going a bit beyond general thoughts, but watching these four films together kind of made me realize how much range he actually had, because he always just seems like the same kind of character. Because I've watched a lot of his other films, but This one, sorry, Anatomy of a Murder is just another facet, or another tool in his belt on his. I kind of notice a lot about how he carries himself is a lot about the way his character uh, is, and we'll talk about in the other films that we talk about this as well. But general thoughts overall, it was very solid, very risque for the time in the language that it chooses to use, because this is what 1950 is the earliest film as well, right?
59.
Oh, 59.
So
Well, my bad. Okay. But I think they did do well toning the language down and for the censorship, for the Hays Code. Oh, it was just beyond Hays Code. Anyway, correct me again there. But sorry, long story short, I'm dribbling. Very good. I hope you guys liked it as well. This was my first time watch as well, by the way.
Mm.
how about you, Luke?
So this is my second watch. I've seen it once about maybe even 20 years ago now. So like this felt like a new, brand new watch, and I liked it. It's a very solid courtroom drama that just to me misses one or two aspects of what makes it brilliant, like 12 Angry Men or one of them. But it definitely is, especially for the time, you know, pushing boundaries. And on this watch, yes, James Stewart has multiple facets, not just the same speed as I also thought. But this watch alone, George C. Scott, man, what a performance by him. So yeah, like my overall liked it.
How about you, Mike?
Kind of similar to Luke. I've seen this before. I liked it. Yeah, it's I agree with what Adam said. It is for the late 50s, very risque. It's based on a novel that is kind of about like a similar instance that happened in Michigan. So um the fact that it's based on a novel that kind of shares that experience, like, okay, cool. Like there's it it justifies a little bit of its language and the kind of the risqueness of what's going on in the movie. It's always tricky, like whenever a movie tries to disprove something based on reasons of insanity, right? Just like in real life. So the way that this goes about, you know finding the evidence and kind of building the case that, like, yes, this person is not guilty because of reasons of insanity. That's kind of one of the things that always fascinates me about a movie, and this one is just kind of full of it. So I enjoyed it for that aspect.
Oh,
Note that, sorry, before you go, Shane, not just a novel. This is based on actual case that actually happened,
Mhm.
apparently down to the finale that actually happened as well, like the last 5 minutes. So sorry, only go, Shane.
I was just gonna say, temporary insanity. All I have to say is free Carly. Um, I do love me some A Time to Kill. Um, from everybody's favorite mass-produced prime courtroom novelist John Grisham. So there you go. But this film, this is the second time I've watched this, and this is one such a cool poster. Like this
Yes.
is one of those like
Mm,
Criterion covers that like
yeah.
immediately grab my attention because of the gold and orange and just the silhouetted uh corpse on there with Anatomy of the Murder on it. And you know, this film could have been tighter.
Hmm.
Um when I put this on, I forgot this was a 2 hour and 40-minute movie, and I'm like, why does this have to be 2 hours and 40 minutes? You
Yeah.
know,
Good point.
sometimes you pull up a
Yes.
film sometimes you pull up a film and you're just like, this movie's going to be 2 hours and 40 minutes. And maybe it could have gotten started quicker, but
Mm.
it does spend the time really setting up these characters and setting the stage for the audience for sure. And I think Otto Preminger directs the hell out of this. This is a crisp, engaging film. Jimmy Stewart, just has a presence where it's like it's one of those types of lawyers toting a line between like, we really like this guy. Maybe he'll bend some things a little bit. And I
Mhm.
think that really the big selling point is Lee Remick
Yeah.
because she's the enigma of the story. And it's like, how much should we believe her or not is something very
Hmm.
intriguing part of this film. And I'll say this to echo Luke, George C. Scott is actually one of my favorite actors of all time. This
Yeah.
man was a powerful performer with presence, and just having him in a film like this brings an intensity. And, I love how they stage the courtroom sequences and stuff like that. And there's a lot of tension once we get to that point. But I guess, what are some of the other big positives everybody has that stand out about the film?
Um, sorry, I'll jump in, but the best one for me was just how it does so well of sowing those seeds of doubt, like you were saying, whether he actually did it. He was definitely not insane, but that's what they pled. Well, maybe a crime of passion, but whether it felt the whole time as if it was a setup because she was very flirty with Jimmy Stewart, like she was trying to get him on side to believe her and whatnot. But it also felt yeah, it just they just there was just little bits here and there that made you think, was this a planned murder for some reason, for some other motive? What was the actual motive behind it? And I mean, for me, I still think that there was another reason. I don't think it was because he raped her. I think it was a setup altogether to kill this guy, regardless. And there's a whole in this 2 hour, 40-minute movie, it was a whole other story that we were never given a glimpse into at all. Um, but I guess being if it's based on a true story, that true story was probably never told at all anyway. So, yeah, that's the one other thing for me. I'll let someone else talk.
For me, the major positives, as I've written in my letterbox review, every time we are in court, it's great. It's gripping. Like as Shane pointed out, the staging, like the the scene where I think it is George C. Scott, or if it's I don't know if it's his partner, is purposefully basically shielding James Stewart from seeing the witness. And like we see the camera like his big body's covering Jimmy Stewart, and he just pops up from the side. Then the lawyer just pops up, so and I'm like, that's kind of funny. Like, and this movie sometimes can be a bit funny. Like Jim Stewart also has some funny moments. And yeah, so I wish we would have gotten to the court slightly faster because, to parrot what you said, Shane, yes, it could have been tighter because like there's a story of two halves where the first half is like, I understand this is all set up and I understand it's needed, but at the same time, the highs of the court are so high, and especially when there is a secret, with one of the characters and her relationship to the murdered guy, and George C. Scott wants to go someplace, but he doesn't know the secret. But James Stewart knows it, so he's kind of laid back. And I loved basically how George C. Scott switches the moment it's revealed. It's like, I've lost here. I'm just gonna sit down. And like that, because he is the antagonist of this movie, effectively. Like the way he cross-examines that witness is like, that was spectacular. And like you feel bad for her, and so that moment when like he gets back down a bit, like he's like, almost like not kicked to the curb, but kind of just feels very satisfying.
I think to add on it
Mm.
specifically about some of the humor, I think Eve Arden is a lot of fun in
Yeah,
terms of like her dynamic with Jimmy Stewart. Which it's was very interesting seeing her much younger than in like Greets and stuff like that as like
I was
the
like,
principal of the
Mm.
school.
where do I know her from? I was like, where do I know her from? This is such an obvious face. I was like, Grease, duh, yeah.
Grease is the word. It's
Yes.
got groove, it's got meaning. But just like you know, I can't tell this movie to lose weight legally, but I can just tighten up.
Yes.
It's one of those types of things where it's just like, you're right, when it gets to the courtroom sequences, and I do love this antagonistic because that's what it is. Like any courtroom, it's two lawyers who
Mhm.
are each other's antagonists,
Yes.
whether who's in the right or who's in the wrong,
Mhm.
are going toe to toe in this situation. And George C. Scott can play some pretty ruthless characters because he just has an intensity
Mhm.
and like a raw like energy about him. And he's such an interesting foil of personality to Jimmy Stewart too,
Mhm.
that it makes their dynamic so interesting. And this is one of those like, is this woman dangerous? Like, is she's
Yeah.
obviously getting some men in some trouble
Yeah.
in this situation. And obviously like Ben Gazzar's character, um it just like it kind of feels like a pawn in this game that she's playing, and she's fantastic because
Yeah.
you never quite fully understand what her motivations are and what's true or not, and that a lot of credit needs to go to Lee Remick for being able to keep that mystery going. But Mike, was any other things that stood out to you positive wise?
The music, I really enjoyed the music by Duke Ellington, of
Mm.
Yeah,
all people.
Yeah.
Like when the
jazzing it up.
credits rolled, I was like, "Who did the music?" And it was like Duke Ellington. I was like, "The Duke Ellington, or is this like, yeah, I'm Duke Ellington from from
You
South
just
Jersey or
Saskatchewan.
whatever." Yeah.
Mike, you just looked real quick. It said Duff Ellington. Um,
But I the music was really well done, and broke a lot of new ground in terms of having an African American kind of anchor the music for major Hollywood release. One other thing that definitely want to point out is that this movie made Chicago clutch its pearls, because it's like, oh, we don't approve of the language of this movie because it has such words as climax and
Panties.
um and Chicago for a while, like I read about this online while kind of doing a little bit of research, that Chicago temporarily banned this movie because it's like,
Huh.
can't have our fragile ears listen to
just
this,
they
even though
wait until
Chicago
the
is one of the most
70s.
corrupt cities in the United States for a while. So whatever.
Well, and just they wait for 15 years when Chicago comes out. See how closely they're clutching their pearls with that.
Right.
Um, all the Foxy of it. Um, but no, there I think it's interesting because this film pushes boundaries
Mhm.
in a way that I don't know if American culture was 100% ready for. And I think that's a very interesting dynamic to this.
I don't think you
Any
can actually. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Luke.
I was gonna say I don't think like anytime a movie pushes boundaries, we are not never ready for it. That's why they are pushing the boundaries. If we were ready for it, there was no boundary.
Touche.
Philosophical.
Touche, sir. Any other beside, tighten this thing up a little bit? Are there any other things that stood out that were more on the negative side?
Just for myself, as I implied the start, I feel like yeah, it is very easy to say we've seen so many better court dramas. That's why this does pale in comparison, but not really. Like 12 Angry Men from pretty much the same, well, 2 years before, I think, is still an exceptional movie, and I think that's ultimately why I quote unquote only like it, because I think there's still like something else that's missing that would swing it from great to excellent. And I don't know exactly what it is, if it's like one scene, one specific performance, because everything here in this movie is solid, 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 great, great, solid, solid, solid. But most of it like kind of composes as, to solid rather than, yeah, like I want to watch 12 Angry Men. Like, this is the like pinnacle even for that era, let alone something like A Few Good Men. A lot of men judging, have you noticed that? So yeah, that would be my other thing, minus the could be tighter.
Well, it is interesting comparing this to 12 Angry Men because they're kind of in the antithesis of each other from like a
Yes.
storytelling perspective, because 12 Angry Men's a tight like 89 minutes,
Yes.
and it's all
About a jury.
just the jury room. Like
Yes.
there's no setup, there's no nothing. You're just dropped in it. And this is this sprawling 2 hour and 40-minute film that gives all of this context, and you're emotionally invested in the characters on trial because you have all this backstory. In 12 Angry Men, there is no context.
If you think about it, this
they're
could
an
make a
idea.
great double bill. Like, this could, because like you have a courtroom drama, but like one is actual courtroom drama and the other is actually, what does jury do when they don't not sure? Yeah.
It is interesting and sure. Any other thoughts on Anatomy of a Murder?
I would just say pair it with Witness for the Prosecution as well and make it a triple feature.
Ooh.
Oh my, that could have been something.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that is not the direction we went in with this. Could have been all courtroom drama, all different facets of the courtroom, for sure. Anything else, Mike? Are we good to go on to
We're good to
our
go.
next film, which is not from the 1950s, as I dated. This is The Flight of the Phoenix from 1965. This is a 2 hour and 22-minute film. We're just slowly getting shorter.
Yes.
As we're going through the list here. This is
Before we get stuck in, sorry, when I was watching this, I was like, because Luke picked this one, and I think you were about to say that, and I was like, 2 hours and 20 minutes. I said, of course Luke would pick the longest movie. Then I looked, hang on, how long was Anatomy of a Murder? And
I was gonna say, what are you talking about?
for the first time ever,
Yes.
Adam picked the longest movie in the room. So this is from director Robert Aldrich, and we have after an oil plane crashes in the Sahara Desert, the survivors' hopes are buoyed by one of the passengers, an airplane designer who comes up with a plan to build a flyable plane from the wreckage. And the question is, in 1965, have we gotten past it? Will we trust the Germans? That definitely is like this looming feeling in this movie. But just to run off a little bit here, this is starring James Stewart, Richard Attenborough, Peter Finch, Hardy Kruger, Ernest Borgnine, George Kennedy. There's quite a bit of familiar faces that pop up in this. And Luke did indeed pick this one. So, Luke, you get to go first.
Yes, Luke is innocent this time, not picking the longest movie. Woo! So, as far as this one, spoiler alert, I guess, this is my least, not favorite, but like, I enjoyed this one the least. I still would say low side of liked it. I still would say I enjoyed it. It's just it never pulled me in properly, and the moment this phoenix may or may not fly, I was hoping I would be like jumping up and down like yes they did it, or they might have not. No spoilers. And I'm like yeah, okay, it doesn't do much, but yeah, but there are some technical aspects and performances I thought were great. So low side of liked it, I think.
I'm just gonna go round horn here on my screen. Mike, what are your general thoughts?
Luke advocating for all these people to die in the desert. Very nice.
I know, right?
I had seen the remake, the Dennis Quaid remake first.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like this is like the remake was fine. And then when I found out it's like it's based on a remake, is Hollywood like, can Hollywood not find any original ideas anymore? Yes, they can. Nobody goes to see them in the theaters. So watching this,
Game goes season.
watching this, I felt the length of this movie. It's like, okay, how many other times? Like what else can we do in order to like make sure that like there's conflict or like there's something that like goes wrong with the plane that like, oh, we got to solve this now. Um, I liked Jimmy Stewart in this, but the supporting cast around him kind of to me stands out a little bit more. There's a couple people here that doing some great work. I enjoyed this, um, and the I think the thing that this kind of showcased for me, because this was the last movie I watched out of the four, is it got brought up before, the range. Like, just we've got the courtroom drama, we've got a straight comedy, we've got a western coming up, and then this, which is like survival drama. It's like, man, Jimmy Stewart can do it all. Like, we
Mhm.
can't even get Vin Diesel to do like a comedy movie and be like, you feel out of place here. But the
Are
fact
you
that
talking about the pacifier?
yeah, yeah,
Is this the first time somebody compared James Stewart to Vin Diesel?
It will never happen again.
not compare, I guess
Well,
so, but
you using
showing one
use
person the range
Yeah,
that one person has versus somebody else who's like, oh,
no range.
all you can
I
do is
know.
just say family, and that's it, or I am Groot,
I
and
am Groot.
that's it.
And he's rich as hell for saying two phrases. Good for him.
Yeah. Hmm.
True,
Yeah.
accurate.
Adam,
Me, well, I don't know what you feel about this one, Shane, but I may be the highest. I really, really like this. I thought, touching on Jimmy Stewart's performance, I loved seeing him play against type. Angry Jimmy was great. I'm not sure he was a scary kind of angry, but it was just great to watch him, you know,
Hmm.
rip into people. Yeah, a cool, great, really cool supporting cast. I just kind of really liked just the aspect. It's a really great character study, I think, because just the way people would react to these type of circumstances. 2 hours, 20 minutes. I didn't feel a drag as long as you guys. I don't know. I might have been in a good, might have caught me at a good time, but I had a really great time with it. And this was the last one of the four I watched as well. Yeah, man. I probably won't add. Look. That's general thoughts. I'll hand over to you, and we'll speak more about it later.
I did like this movie quite a bit. And there were a couple moments during the film that I feel like narratively it either sagged a bit or felt a little bit repetitive. I feel like at some point, how many more specific head-on confrontations can happen between Frank and Heinrich at this point, which, not gonna lie, I wanted to straight up jump through the screen and punch that former Nazi youth in the face. Because fun fact, Hardy Kruger was indeed in the Nazi youth program because he
Ah,
was 13 years old in Berlin
yeah,
during
yeah.
World War II. But like that character of Heinrich is so frustrating. I wanted to punch that man when he took water more because I'm doing more work. It's just like there that's a mm, that I would be Jimmy Stewart after a while with this
Mm,
character because the arrogance. Like
yep.
I'm not the type of person that appreciates overly arrogant, overly confident people. And he was just rubbing me the wrong way in the best way possible because that's exactly the point.
Especially
Because
under false pretenses as well, because there's a mini twist at the end where you just go, "What the fuck?" Like
Mhm.
I was not a fan of that twist. I thought it was stupid as hell. It was like a real letdown for the film.
with the whole miniatures,
Yeah, yeah. He
Oh,
was not an airplane engineer.
I was
He
like, what
didn't.
twist? Did I miss something? I was like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
just him.
yeah.
He built
Hmm.
model planes,
just
not
like,
actual planes.
keep that to yourself.
Hmm.
Because yeah, it would
Yeah.
probably piss off all of the because like this is very interesting because Heinrich is the intellectual in the
Mm,
room,
mm,
Hmm.
quote unquote. Because you have like the military guy, like Peter Finch's character, who's also frustrating in his own way of like, dude, this isn't your military. We're all
mm.
stuck in this situation together. And also, I don't know who is worse, Heinrich, or what the hell was Watson, was it, who is like sabotaging quite a bit throughout this film. Um that was an interesting thing in terms of like how human nature came into play with these characters and how they dealt with this. But, it's very much like the technical engineer who knows the ins and outs of the science of a plane, and this crusty veteran pilot who's done this his whole entire life and knows the feel and
Mm.
understands it in the conflict. And I think one of the most powerful moments was when he finally comes into conflict with Richard Attenborough's character, his co-pilot in this situation. And you have the Ernest Borgnine character who just is desperately trying to be like, I want to go. And like that was tragic.
Mhm.
Like that was a big swing, having an Academy Award winning best actor, Ernest Borgnine. Like
Yeah.
this actor dying, like
Mm.
not even halfway through this movie.
It was
In
the
a
Bryan
really
Cranston
tragic
of
way.
Godzilla death.
Yeah. It's just like, and there's interesting twists and turns along the way. There's certain things like I understand why they showed it, because they really wanted to capture the effects of like the sun and the hallucinations and stuff like that. But I'll admit, like that moment later in the film kind of felt like it was dragging the film a little bit. I'm like, I'll admit, there's a certain point where I'm just like, okay, we just need to launch this damn plane.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
there's so much great conflict based in character and human
Mhm.
nature throughout this film. It really kept me engaged. And, you know, special effects wise, for a film from 1965, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It did take me a moment where it's like, obviously, model of a plane with like wind turbines blowing at it at the beginning of the film, and it's like, it's 1965. It's not like they had like a camera on a plane. Um, this isn't Tom Cruise. This isn't Mission Impossible. So, I think they did a really good job with that. But I guess let's go around. What were some of the main positives for everybody for the film?
So I thought, special effects you mentioned, I was gonna highlight makeup because I liked that, like, as the
Mm.
days go by, like you
Yeah.
can see different kind of scabs, like
Crustier and
yeah,
Yeah.
crustier.
crusty,
It
like
progresses. Yeah.
yeah, like scabs, scars, all that nastiness, and I'm like, damn, that is quite impressive. Like,
Mm.
like those are the tiny things I appreciate about movies from this era, where they actually made effort to, hey, yeah, like day seven, this is how you would probably look like because
Yeah.
lacking water and all that stuff. Um, that obviously that's pretty much it because like you've covered most of it. So like yeah, special effects, I would say also the scope. Like any movie from 50s, 60s, 70s, they kind of have to shoot either on a very big stage or in real
Mm.
life on a fucking
Mm.
desert. And they did actually go to some desert. And and because of that, you can actually set up camera properly for like a big giant like establishing shots or a medium shots, and you get the scope, you get how actually stranded and fucked they are because of that.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
definitely feels real because hey, they were in a desert.
Mm.
Sure.
I'll highlight Ian Bannon. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. As I believe his first name was Ratbags Crow. Was that? But just I thought his performance was decent and a little shocked to see. It's like, oh, of all the people here, it's like you were the one nominated for the Academy Award. I'm like, okay, I'll,
Mm.
I guess I see that, but that's not who I would have picked. But at the same time, I did thoroughly enjoy, or I thought he did a good job. Also, one thing that I noticed is that I did like the editing for this. I thought the editing was really good. And again, same thing. It's like editing got nominated for an Oscar for this. Like, okay, cool.
Mm.
That's that's awesome. Good for that. So glad to see that, like, oh, it wasn't just me who thought that the editing was okay. The Academy also nominated it too. So
Hmm.
I was like, "Whew, I did it, guys! I did it! I found
did
something
it.
that, on a technical level, is like, it's not just me, is it? It's like,
It's
well,
validating,
no,
yeah.
It was Crow, the Scottish guy.
yes,
Scottish.
Interesting that they
Scottish.
went with like the comic relief character as the one who got nominated for an Oscar.
different time, man,
Yeah.
different time."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Um,
Melissa McCarthy of the time.
yeah, I was gonna
From
say that's what I was gonna say from
Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids. Yeah, the
Which,
funniest one in a funny group.
real quick though, side note, I think one of the most inconsistent Academy Awards is the editing one because
Mm. Bohemian
how,
Rhapsody. We're gonna talk about
how
that
the
one.
hell did Bohemian Rhapsody get
Yeah.
Oscar for editing? Like, what are you smoking over there
I
in
don't
the
know how that won
editor's wing?
awards for anything at all. It's a terrible,
But
it's an
no,
atrocious movie.
this is a really well put together film and edited and how they put it all together. And it's the subtle conflict moments where I think the editing really stands out because as you're building this tension between these characters, because like almost this whole entire movie is a fever pitch between Stewart and Kruger. Um, and it's so interesting that Dennis Quaid wound up being the Jimmy Stewart character.
Yep.
And was it '04
Yes.
was the remake? Because like, damn, Dennis Quaid so hot right now. And he
It was
was
the
in
bomb
that.
in Phantoms.
Like this just had such a stacked cast. Because like, what makes a disaster movie better? Having a ridiculous amount of famous people in it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's one thing I respect Hollywood for the 60s and 70s, where they were just like, you think the biggest part of our budget for these disaster movies are the special effects, but it's actually the insane amount of money we had to pay these casts.
Yep.
I love a
Something
big
like,
cast. I
yep.
love a movie with a great cast.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
like
I
Jimmy
don't know.
Stewart was in Airport 77
Yeah,
as well. So
yeah,
like wound
yeah.
up being in some of these things. And I love Richard Attenborough. Um,
Mm.
and he
Yeah,
does a
he's
really
cool.
good supporting performance here, before he went
Mm.
full blown being a director or
Mm-hmm.
John Hammond. Um,
Mm.
there you go.
Yeah.
Um,
Any
my
particular? Oh, go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was just wanted to talk about my biggest positive. What I appreciated the most was just the motif of the dynamic of basically when it's fundamentally a trapped on a desert island type of movie, right? These guys are fighting for survival and with
Yep.
nowhere to escape. So, it's funny that we were talking about 12 Angry Men before because I wrote down three films that I thought that this reminded me of because of that motif was 12 Angry Men, Treasure of the Sierra Madre and Escape from Alcatraz would be all great films to watch with this, which on surface level seems weird, but I think, yeah, for some reason I'm coming up with double features for these things, but yeah, that's just what these films make me think of when I watch them because they're all the same-ish
To be
anyway, really.
fair, that is the point of this show here on the Wasteland Retrospective.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
fair, sticking with the theme
Mm-hmm.
without knowing it.
Stick to the bit. Um, Main negatives, because obviously, some of us have said this was like the lower end of the four films for us. So, what were some of the things that kept this from being something you really thought was great?
So, for myself, I don't mind longer movies, but this was definitely one of the longest movies I've ever seen. Like it definitely felt like a 3 hour movie, not 220.
Right,
And
you don't mind longer movies.
Yes,
That's your raison d'etre. Longer
I know, right?
movies.
That will be on my tombstone, Adam. That will be on my
Yeah.
tombstone. Here
Yep.
lies Luke, didn't mind longer
150
movies.
minutes or
Or
150
less.
minutes or bust.
Now, what Adam and Mike don't know is that we're going to do a special episode of the Wasteland Retrospective next month with Luke, where we watch all three of the Human Condition trilogy films. So, yes, 9 hours.
Yep. I didn't, to be fair, I didn't know they were that long, but I was like,
I did.
Well,
Lies,
that's Lord
lies.
of the Rings. It's Lord of the Rings, like.
yeah, yeah. But yeah,
It
so for
literally
me,
is.
it
So,
is,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah. But for me, one of the main negatives is so the character we touched on, the German guy, can I remember his name? So, might be a weird one, but I appreciate him to an extent because he is the one he's an asshole, but he's right. Like he tells you the things
Hmm.
how they are. Like, yeah, this person will die in 4 days. We don't have to worry about him once we get there. And I'm like, it's a bit of a dickish thing to say, but also he's kind of right. Until he
Yeah.
does the thing with the water, and this is my one of the main gripes. Especially Hollywood at the time, they didn't know how to write these characters. So of course the brutally honest person will always be the asshole of the group who kind of needs to screw over, or will try to screw them over. And I'm like, can we not just be brutally honest without being a total fucking dick? Like, I was so mad when that, that water bit happened. I was like,
Mm.
really? Like, this is like, I think that was just the writing at the time. I was like, we need to have him be a total antagonist, so Jimmy Stewart has his moment. So, let him steal the water. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. But yeah, so for me, like, I appreciate because you need to have somebody like that in your movie.
Are
But
you
like,
saying he wasn't assholey enough because they kind of gave him valid reasons to do what he's doing?
no, not asshole. Like this, that the water bit made him super asshole. Like before that, you can
Right.
argue he was an asshole, but he was kind of right. Like he's one of those
Right. Okay,
like
gotcha.
you're technically like you're right, but you have a way of going about it, how you say your things. That
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
make
yeah.
doesn't make you less right though. So
No, 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 absolutely.
and
I
in
think
my
that
personal
moment in the film though
mm,
is he thinks he's right
th-
because
yes,
from
that's my
a
problem.
from a perspective of he thinks, well, I did more. He has a perspective of work like my grandfather had. My
Hmm.
grandfather was a foreman, and
Hmm.
he said they're the most important person on the job because if it wasn't for the foreman, the people doing the actual work wouldn't do their work.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
deserve to
Hmm.
get more recognition. And like
I,
that's Heinrich right here, this
Yeah.
asshole.
Yeah.
you're gonna
100%.
hate me because when he was talking when with the whole water argument, I was on his side. I'm like, he's out there in the sun doing all the physical work. He needs more to survive, like because she's sweating more out. So technically, he's right. He needs more. Not that he
Hmm.
deserves it, but anyway, I was like, yeah,
And
he's kind of right with that too.
I think that's ultimately like, at least this movie gets us talking about this because this is more of a, was he right? Was he wrong? Like, character makes a
Yeah,
decision, and like,
that's the
this is
point.
where you show who you are or who we are
Mm.
based on where we skew towards it. Like in my personal life, my best friend is not Heinrich per se, but he is very dead to the point. To the point where
Yeah.
if you're not used to it, you'll be taken aback and be like, "Why is he
Mm.
such a dick?" And he's like, "No, he's not a
Is he
dick.
is he
He is
Dutch?
no, he's Czech.
Ah, okay, right. Because
We are
Dutch
quite
people are normally
similar.
like that. Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah,
we are
yeah.
quite similar. But again, like, and that's why maybe like I gravitate towards more like give it to me straight, be brutally honest, like I can handle it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was on his kind of side until the
Yeah.
water bit, and I was like, for fuck's sake, like because again, like until that, is he in everybody's face? Yes. Is he right? And about pretty much everything he says?
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
The way he goes about it, he's not gonna win,
He's not
Miss Congeniality,
he's no
but
p- he's no
So
he's no politician.
no,
at
yeah,
the end of the
Yeah.
day, in the mortal words of the Big Lebowski, am I wrong? Am I
Mm.
wrong? No,
no,
Walter, you're not wrong. You're just an asshole.
correct,
And
correct,
Yeah.
that
correct,
is
yes,
Exactly.
Heinrich,
Yeah.
the
yes,
character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any
but
other quick final thoughts on the flight of the Phoenix before we get into everybody's favorite big imaginary friend rabbit?
Shout out to the stuntman who died during
oh,
Oh,
for
really?
this as well. Paul Mance.
yes,
It was in the credits.
yes,
Right.
It was one of the last. It's in the credits. Like that's something that I didn't know about. So
Mm.
yeah,
have
that's
you, Mike, have you read on IMDb what actually happened?
no.
So not only he died, you're right, and shout out to him, 100%. It was during the second take, so he did this stunt for the first time flawlessly, but director was like, "Oh, just one more time,"
We
and it
need
was the
coverage.
second, yes, and it was the second take that got him, and they didn't use
Mm.
it. They didn't even actually use it, not because he died. They actually had perfectly fine thing what he did with the first take. So I'm
Mm.
like, why don't you just move on? Especially with a dangerous stunt like that, like
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
rough.
yes.
Pour one out for him.
Yep.
Goddamn Hollywood.
Mhm.
But anyway, shifting gears
Moving right along.
to now something completely different.
Now with sports.
And we have 1950s Harvey. And this film is from director Henry Coster, starring James Stewart, Wallace Ford, William H. Lynn, Victoria Horn, and a whole group of some interesting character actors along the way. That a whimsical man is thought to be insane due to his insistence that he is best friends with an invisible humanoid rabbit, but he may be wiser than anyone else. This is indeed a screwball comedy fantasy, in an interesting way. But this was Mike's choice. So, Mike, what are your general thoughts on Harvey?
Never seen this before. I love how in this day and age, like kindness, like being kind and just being a good, like a nice person is just seen as like you're insane. Like
Yeah.
what's happening right now?
Yeah.
Or are you a snowflake?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, that's true.
Sad.
Unfortunately. But this it's hard to judge this one because like I enjoyed it. But this is one for me where it's like I kind of waffle sometimes. It's like, dude, you're kind of crazy. You're kind of crazy because it's one thing to like talk to Harvey just off the whim and just like have a conversation with him about like how the day is going. To introduce him to people at like at social events, at bars, it's like,
Mm.
oh, I don't know about that. But what really works for this movie is that this movie is all about relationships and the relationship between Harvey and Elwood, and then Elwood and his sister and niece. So the dynamic between those two groups is just it's really great. The sister, played by I think Josephine Hull.
Mhm. Oscar
They're
nominated for this.
Oscar winner.
Winner. Yeah.
Oscar winner. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
There were times like, sis, I really feel for you with this. Like I kind of can't blame you, but also at the same
Yeah.
time, it's like, can't the guy just be nice and just let him live his life? You know, like he doesn't need to be committed or crazy or anything like that. So um and also just again the range, this is a comedy through and through, and it's got some dramatic moments, but I did laugh out loud a bunch of times during this.
How about you, Adam?
I love Harvey. This was my second watch. And just before I move on with general thoughts, keeping a tradition, this one's a great triple feature with choose Donnie Darko and Lars and the Real Girl, because Lars and the Real Girl is almost a remake of this, but a bit more risque and modernized. But it's really just about acceptance of people. Like there's the whole thing of him going to trying to be committed to the madhouse by his sister. Then she's committed because they think she's crazy because of what she's describing. But this guy's no harm to anyone. He's just cruising about town. He's friendly. He's lovely. He's just a delightful fella. He's just friends with this giant pretend rabbit. And that's what I love about how the eventually, for the most part, the town just buy into his delusion and go along with it. I guess the barman, because he's selling 2 drinks for one. But I mean, the rest of the people just kind of get along with it and just cool, just accept it because Elwood is just such a lovely fella,
Yeah.
and and why not? Like, if he was a dick to go along with it, or like one of those like real scary about it, he says, "Okay,
If he
Harvey."
was a predator like Martin Wilson, the guy who works at this place, who is so aggressive with the patients and then
Yeah.
comes on
Oh,
so
yes,
hard
yes.
at the niece in the house. It's just like, dude, like, what the shit, man?
Yeah. But Jimmy
He
Stewart
needs to be
again,
committed.
Jimmy Stewart is so great in this, and again talking about his physicality in this,
Mhm.
because the way he moves and he has to look up to Harvey on the 4K. He does an intro to it, and he's talking about, because I didn't realize, but Jimmy Stewart was like 6'3" in real life. So and this is based on the book where the rabbit was 6'2". But he said he had to make it like about 6'8" or 6'9" in the movie because he had to look up to it because he's already so
Mhm.
tall. Anyway, fun fact. But Jimmy's amazing in this. He's just so mild-mannered, meek, and just a pleasant. Kind of reminded me of Trim and Burbank a little bit in that way, but just a bit more mellow. Yeah. Anyway, Luke, I'll hand to you.
Thank you, sir. I loved this movie. This was by far the my favorite movie out of all those four we're gonna talk about,
Mhm.
or we've talked about. I don't like, yes, there's like, about acceptance and about all that, but the main takeaway what I took from this movie mainly, it's more about like how perception and then the self reflection and a self reflection. I think this is the core of the movie, and how we, because yeah, he is weird guy. He's got this puka who's like, oh yeah, my good friend Harvey here, but he is lovable. He's got the personal skills where, he meets you and invites you for a dinner instantly. He sees the best in every single person, no matter how they treat him. And then the moment they see it, that there is not a single bad bone in his body, like people, I don't think they necessarily go along with it. Like, I think you can tell throughout the movie, they self-reflect on how they behave to others. And to me, this is a very important message about he is not trying to convince them Harvey is real. Because of Harvey, he is, acting in a certain way, and people around him reflect on how they behave, how they would like to live their life, and uphold to the standards of being kind and better people overall. And I thought that's the kind of idea that's, struck a chord with me. James Stewart's performance, I genuinely thought this was the movie he won his Oscar for. He didn't. I was surprised because he never once breaks. If this movie was remade today, there would have been a scene, I guarantee you, that where he would break, like, where he would like lash out on somebody or anything like that. No, he never won, and he has so many opportunities. He has so many different scenes where, like, he would be so in the right to, shout at this person, but he never wants that. He always chooses kindness, despite everything that's thrown his way. And ultimately, that's, persuades even his sister, who is the one who wants to put him away in the first place.
Mhm.
And I, yeah, I loved it. What about you, Shane?
So I think it's really important to state that the true villain of this film is putting social standing above your loved ones.
Yeah.
Because this isn't about his sister and his niece wanting, like, being legitimately worried about his mental health. It's
Mm.
that he embarrasses them.
They're
Yes.
pariahs. Yeah.
Really good
They
point.
they
Really
are
good point.
social ladder climbers who are
Yes.
mad that weirdo brother slash uncle is making people think that they're weird.
Yep.
And
Mm.
it's just like, what a dick move. So do I feel bad when she's like harassed? Um, no, not really. She's the one who needed that. That's the wonderful thing about this film is the protagonist of the film doesn't go on an arc.
Hmm.
Mm.
It's his
Mm.
presence forces everybody else to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to make work because generally that means your protagonist is the least interesting person in the movie. But Harvey is not that case. He is the most interesting person in the movie. He just is fully committed and fully accepts who he is, how he perceives the world, and nobody's going to change his mind.
Hmm.
Yep.
He's too aloof to have anybody sway his perceptions, and just some of the things I love most about this movie are the little details where it's just like
Yeah.
him, like,
Yep.
other characters are distracted with other characters and completely miss him engaging with this giant invisible rabbit, and they don't even notice. Or he'll say something and they think out of context that he's talking to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And he is acting this way right in front of them, and they don't even notice. That whole entire mix up of them committing the sister and then the
Yeah.
younger doctor and uh young Miss Kelly, Charles Drake and Peggy Dow, who, are trying to like apologize to him, and he's just like he's acting exactly as quote unquote, I'm using air quotes, crazy as
Mm-hmm.
he does the whole rest of the movie. They just don't notice.
Mhm.
They're too distracted.
Too busy.
Sanderson's too busy worrying about his own job to
Mm-hmm.
notice what's right in front of him. And I think that's another thing that this film reinforces is like, I'm not gonna be like touch grass, people, but like you gotta take a step back
Be in a
from
moment.
be in the moment, live in the
Mm.
moment. One of the most beautiful, meaningful, poignant speeches I feel like in like any movie is in that alley
Yes.
outside of the
Mhm.
bar. And Jimmy Stewart, like, he earned that Oscar nomination with it because, like, first of all, this is a weird ass movie to be nominated for Best Actor for, but
Mhm.
it's so this is Forrest Gump
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for this generation. Realistically, it
Yeah.
is a charming, wholesome, genuine human being. Whether it's like he sees a giant invisible rabbit, which for the record this is indeed a fantasy because he's not crazy.
Mm.
This thing is actually there.
Yeah.
Yes.
um to the point where it even like rewrites the encyclopedia to mess with the jerk crazy guy
Or
who's
the
harassing
lever,
everybody.
or the gate opens. Yeah. So
Mhm.
he is
Yeah.
actually there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And like the moment he had, like the moment outside the bar, great. The moment he has with Dr. Chumley, one-on-one in his office at the end is so meaningful. And this is just such a wonderful, heartwarming film that I feel like more people need to watch today because
Yeah.
too many people are angry. Too many people. And here's the thing: there's a lot of things for people to be angry about today
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and should be angry
Mhm.
about. But if you don't live your life a little, what's the point of being angry?
Mm.
Tell
It's like,
that tell that to the rest of the baseball fans out there as Kyle Tucker signs with the Dodgers.
Mike,
That means
don't even
nothing to
get me
me.
started.
Yeah.
I uh, I had to I sparked a little something yesterday in a Slack chat
Ooh.
with a group of Sif Pop baseball fans that turned
Uh-huh.
into a 19 message tirade going back and forth between two people, and you might guess who one of them might be. I'm like, well, I started a fire. I'm walking away.
When I'm Billy Joel.
I did not
Start the
reply.
fire.
Ryan
Shane
I
did
and
did
start the
indeed
Sonny.
start the
fire.
fire, and I let it keep burning as I slowly walked away.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like this film makes you realize, like you have to live, you have to appreciate what's good, and appreciate the good things around you. And that's one of the wonderful things about Elwood and him inviting, the cab driver or
Mm-hmm.
this person, that person to dinner and
Yeah.
not worrying about social standing, worrying about being a good person. Unlike his sister, who luckily wakes the hell up
Yep.
and realizes what she needs to prioritize in her life. But this is a beautiful mosaic of humanity that's just everybody is shifting and growing because of the influence that Elwood has in their lives. And I guess to an
Mm.
extension, Harvey as well.
Well,
Yes.
it's funny that she becomes that when she starts to see glimpses of Harvey herself, and then she becomes like him, like she sees the light. Um, yeah, sorry, Luke, I think I butted in on you then.
No. I was gonna touch on your point. I think the movie also speaks about hypocrisy because I don't think, to your point, Adam, even quite early on, she kind of lets it slip that she also can see Harvey because he scares her, right? Yeah, I think that's quite early on in the movie. So I'm like, so
Is
this also is about the hypocrisy. Is like, yeah, like what Shane was talking about. This is not, they are not commenting him for him to get better because they care. No, they like, oh yeah, yeah, he's ruining our, social stand. He's ruining our climbing for our knees to here to
that's
get made.
interesting. It's an interesting take on that line though, because I thought she was mainly talking about like I didn't think she was alluding to the fact that Harvey scared her. I thought it was he scared her because he sees Harvey.
If I
Yeah,
That's
remember,
what I thought. Or
if I
Harvey
remember correct,
scares her
mhm,
I
sorry.
thought
because he's
Elwood
not real
scared
or
her.
something. Anyway, yeah, doesn't matter. Cool.
Because like if I remember correctly, like it's hinted at like she can also see him, and as the movie progresses, she actually
Right.
admits that she can occasionally see him. So I think that's the
Oh,
ultimate,
she does too.
that's the ultimate hypocrisy, where she wants to commit him despite
Yeah,
her
yeah,
seeing this puka. And I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, like so it's
Puka,
not
puka.
really about, like Shane is totally right. It's not about him getting better. This is not about I care about my brother.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
is more about,
No.
I have this young piece of meat, my niece, that needs to be
Mm.
sold or bedded very quickly, so
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can
yeah.
climb them
Put her out to
ladders,
market.
okay? So we can climb them ladders, secure our wealth, all that stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
As a good family does, right?
yeah.
And back in the
Yeah.
50s. And so like, and I think this is to a point, like he is the perfect, James Stewart is a perfect foil for everybody to, or like he effectively acts as a mirror, basically, where people are
Mm.
confronted with themselves. And this is why even like in one of the crushing line at the end, the director of the sanatorium says, "Can I keep Harvey with me for a bit?" And he's so
Yeah.
honest about it. I'm like,
Mm.
Mhm.
damn. And then
Yeah.
he starts as this like, hey, like I'm this big director, like do you need to fix your mistake? Do. And then just like at the end, like he's totally changed man because of this interaction, and not and like he sees the rabbit, and or puka, and it's not even about like there's a massive. It's more about like allegory about, hey, you need to slow down. You need to be in a moment. You choose how you communicate with others, how you
Well,
go
I
about
think
life.
I think Harvey is the best of all of us, is supposed to be the best of us, and that's why the director wants him because he knows he hasn't been his best, maybe, and he wants
Hmm.
Harvey to
Hmm.
rub off on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think Harvey forces us to be our. Well, here's the thing: is it Harvey or is it Elwood? Because Harvey's
Probably.
a bit of a
They work in
mischievous.
tangent.
Yeah,
They work in.
Well,
it's
because the thing
probably
is,
a
it's
little bit
like
of both.
Mhm,
because I think Elwood and Harvey make such great friends because who Elwood is and who Harvey is. Like
mhm.
Harvey's like he just Harvey
Yeah.
doing some of
Yeah.
his like weird shenanigans and antics because he's a mischievous
Mm.
pukas are mischievous entities.
Mhm, mhm.
Mm.
And so like he does play around and stuff like that. And it's interesting because it's like, see, there's a movie that I want to reference here, and I don't think I should because it's a twist on what it reveals, but it's like
Uh,
it's one of those things, it's like who's the one really making the difference in this community? I would say it's not really Harvey, it's Elwood
Mhm.
mhm.
who's the
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
making the difference. Um, it's just that I think through Harvey's presence, people are paying attention to Elwood,
Yes.
and then just
Mm.
Elwood's the beauty of his soul as a human being rubs off on people.
Mhm.
And like,
Yeah.
well, I've wrestled with reality for 35 years, Doctor, and I'm happy to state I finally won out over it. And it's just like there's so many great lines that he
That is a good
has,
line.
and you know, and here's the thing. It's so funny because reflecting on some of these films we talked about, in a situation, I'd be the Heinrich. More of
Yeah.
a Heinrich than any of the other characters in Flight of the Phoenix. Like, I'm not like salt of the earth, blue collar kind of guy. I have a master's degree in accounting. I'm a math person. Like, I'm very much like a headier kind of person. And here, like, I'm a very rational person and
Mhm.
a very grounded person. And but the thing is, like, I also got voted nicest to everybody in my high school class.
Oh,
And
nice.
like it's just like, what, Luke?
Nice.
I am, I hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it just one of those things where it's just like I I strive to be somebody like Harvey. And
Mm.
life has made me a little bit too negative recently, and I hate when I come to that realization that I am being negative like that, because that's
Mhm.
not the kind of person that I am. And sometimes life gets you down, and I'm having one of those moments that Luke's glad didn't happen in this movie. Um which they're like, it's like that kind of, you get that in It's a Wonderful Life, where it's just
Mhm.
like, this man's been beaten down and there's some cracks here. Like, this movie inspires me to, like, take a step back and be like, you can be positivity in the world that can make it a better place,
Mhm.
because there's not
Mm.
enough in the world today.
Definitely.
So people, watch Harvey.
Mhm.
Go ahead,
The
Mike.
the only other two things that I'll bring up is that I did love the conversation between the sister and the cab driver at the end. It's like, look, I've taken a lot of people to get this formula injection, and they just become normal people. And boy, those people suck.
Yeah.
So
That
Yeah,
I
guy's a
that's the
really
best
real
quote
one.
of best quote of the movie is he's just like, after this you'll be a perfectly normal human being, and we all know what stinkers they can be. Was that
Yeah.
Mhm.
him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
that's my favorite line of the movie. I love it.
So
Mhm.
I did want to shout out that, and then also Luke, I can't wait until A24 makes the remake of this movie one day,
Mhm.
where it sees it from the sister's point of view, and the Puka's like grabbing people's asses and like spreading anarchy throughout the town. So who knows? Maybe we'll get a different perspective on this
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
show the monster that Harvey really is. No, I agree with what everybody is saying ultimately, is that, you know, the positivity in this, it's kind of infectious, and it is the hope is that more people can, kindness and just being a good person should be infectious. And
Mhm.
the hope is that one day it will be. Just
I'm ready for the remake of this with Jason Segel, and then you have
Uh,
to have the puka be like 7'5" for him
Jason
to
Segel
look
would
up
be a
at
good.
it.
It's actually not a bad recast though, to be honest.
Yeah.
Jason Segel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
Oh
see
no,
that.
I was being serious. I
Mm.
think he would be a really good casting for a movie like this, for
Mm.
that character of Elwood. But and then also the joke that, um Jason Segel's Andre the Giant, and you have an even bigger puka. But
It'd
our
be cool if it was
last
Jake Gyllenhaal though. Sorry, because just him with two giant rabbit movies, it'd
Yeah.
be great.
Maggie Gyllenhaal can direct it.
And the last thing, like last quick thing I'll
Yeah.
say, I love that Harvey has IMDb profile, like the actual like Harvey
Oh, does he?
character. Yeah. Yeah. It's
That's crazy.
actually yes. On Goshen, please.
And our last and shortest film. Um, I don't know if I'm usually the one who picks the shortest movie out of a group of people, but it is 1950s Winchester 73. An hour and 32-minute Western, a cowboy's obsession with a stolen rifle leads to a bullet-ridden odyssey through the American West. And this is from director Anthony Mann, starring, you guessed it, James Stewart, and we have Shelley Winters, Dan Groya, Stephen McNally, and a handful of other character actors like John McIntyre and such, and a young Rock Hudson popping up here as well.
Yeah.
But I was the one who picked this one, so I'll give my general thoughts. Um, I thought this was an incredibly shot film, and I think that really stands out in like the final shootout in this movie, which is really well edited, really well shot. That's something that I've gotten a vibe from Anthony Mann westerns, are like, they're like crisp, really well put together movies. I appreciate this interesting idea of following this rifle around and just seeing the mayhem and the chaos and the worst things that it brings out in people. And I think that's such an interesting idea for a film like this, because there's few films that I feel like we've God, why did now I'm thinking of like the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Like, just like
Same movie, yes.
except it's a
There's
gun.
there's your
So,
double feature right
Mhm.
there. Sisterhood of the
Yes.
Traveling Pants and
Winchester
Winchester
73.
73.
Um, I appreciate some of the storytelling structure because like we're kind of dropped into this context and there's layers that wind up being pulled back for us to fully understand this conflict between Lynn McAdam and Waco Johnny Dean. What a freaking name. And it's a fake name because we know they made it up. Um, and I appreciate how it comes full circle. I'll admit, some of the story threads are more interesting than others, but overall, I think this film really worked for me. And I think Jimmy Stewart and Anthony Mann considered this like their best collaboration in terms of making westerns because they made a few of them together. Here's the thing: I never knew Jimmy Stewart as like a western actor
He's done
growing
a
up.
bunch.
Apparently, did tons
He's
of
done
them.
a bunch of them. Yeah.
So, which is really interesting. Even his last one, Five Will Goes West.
He did a few with Howard Hawks too, didn't he? A few
Yep.
westerns.
He had done quite a few with John Wayne. He was in The Shootist, his last
Mm.
film with Don
Man Who
Siegel.
Shot Liberty Valance as well.
I was gonna
which
say,
is
Man of
great.
Liberty Valance. Yeah, that's a great
Mm.
movie. Yeah.
Yep. Definitely one of my favorite new watches for my obscene 80-week dive into Ford movies that I did on Welcome to the
Yeah.
Wasteland.
Hmm.
But let's start with Adam. What were your general thoughts on Winchester 73?
I'm definitely going to be the lowest on this. I didn't rewatch this. I watched this last November 24th. Was the first time I watched it. I guess I must have been in a mood this day when I watched this because I found probably everything I didn't want to see in this. Because it felt to me the glorification of guns. And I'm not I hate guns. I'm not a gun person. That's just kind of all I saw in it. So I mean, my keynote is that it's probably very authentic to how the West was actually lived back at that time. And I just kind of wrote, I'm glad I wasn't there because it looked like a horrible existence. I just did not vibe with this. Not necessarily the movie, but what I was seeing, I wasn't vibing with. I think I could appreciate the quality of it, but I just didn't like the topic and what I was seeing from the topic, what I was getting from what I was being shown, if that makes sense, which was the glorification of guns.
Get back to that because that's an interesting read for this movie. But Luke, what are your general thoughts?
I think it's the same as the Anatomy of a Murder. Like this is a very solid movie. I liked it. I would say for this being the shortest, I surprisingly felt the length. Like I don't think it was paced that well. I was like, damn, this is only 92 minutes. This feels like twice that. But like I still liked it. I thought James Stewart was great. I thought Dutch Henry, which is the main antagonist, and you know some other twist, was also great. But yeah, I think it's as solid as it goes without being a great in the Western genre.
How about you, Mike?
I largely echo what Luke and Adam are saying. I enjoy this, but I don't know. There's just something that kind of felt a little interesting about this, mainly because I think I had like this. I had seen this like a couple of times before, and maybe it's just because westerns aren't really my vibe per se. But at the same time, I can appreciate what this is trying to do because Adam, I see what you're saying, but I'm also kind of taking an opposite approach where it's like, are we glorifying the gun or are we showing the perils of what happens when we're
Mm.
taking a look when we're obsessed with
Yep.
the gun. Because I kind of see, like, now that you say that, I was like, yeah, it kind of does. So I see both points of view, and as an American, it's like it's kind of like anything that like glorifies guns, like I just find kind of gross and appalling. But yeah, it's I see what you're saying though. And then the other thing, um, not exactly the most culturally appropriate movie. Rock Hudson, looking at you.
That
But
was a surprise.
a bit of a surprise, but it's it's of the time. Got to give it a little bit,
Yes.
like just a small amount of grace for that, and it's not like so over the top that it's like Peter Pan levels of offensive, but it's still one of those things like, oh, you
It's
made
not John
choices.
Wayne playing Genghis Khan.
Yeah, it's like
Like bad.
Or
you
Alec Guinness playing, what is he in Lawrence of Arabia?
Oh yeah.
Well, that I'm not. Let's not get into that conversation because we definitely
Yeah.
don't have enough time to get into that conversation. That's a big, broader conversation. But I feel like there is a there's a difference between being a product of the time and being very, very distasteful in terms of
hmm
representations of specific groups. And like, would I say what happens in this movie is distasteful? Probably not. I would say it's definitely a product of the time, and they're obviously doing brown face and should not
Yeah.
be, dressing Rock Hudson up like indigenous person. But I was kind of shocked it was an Italian person because that's usually who it is. Um, in a lot of these movies, it's what they do in The Searchers. That guy's an Italian. Like he's a playing star. I'm just like, of course it is.
They did do that too. It's funny.
But you know, hey, Italians need to get a job. You're gonna play a Native American or you're gonna be a mobster.
Or a Mexican or something.
Well, and that's the thing too, because like not going I'm doing a tangent, but like Eli Wallach plays a Mexican in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Hey man, Oscar
And
Isaac plays a European scientist this just last year, so you know.
wild things.
Hmm
But I find it a very interesting read because, like, I'll admit too, I hate guns. I'm never going to own a gun. It is something that, but I also love westerns, and I don't see this movie glorifying
Everyone's
the gun because I see because one, Jimmy Stewart's character is driven by rage and revenge. He is not acting like a good human being. And the gun winds up in the hands of some horrible people who use it to do horrible things. And like, I can understand that it's highlighting the iconography of it because, at the very end, it like pushes into like looking at this Winchester gun. But what it's
yeah.
portraying throughout the film is nothing good.
But for
And there's an
me,
obsession with it, and
Yes.
which I don't think
yeah,
is good either.
that's where I get it from because I remember distinctly everyone wants this gun. They're obsessed by this gun because I guess it shoots straight. Like why wouldn't a gun? But you know what I mean? Like
Adam, for
that.
context, guns were shit back then.
Yeah,
So like this
yeah, yeah.
actually was a functioning weapon that people
Because
wanted because it represented power.
he won it at a fair, didn't he, from memory? Like he won it at a fair
Yeah.
shooting plates out of the
Yes.
sky or something. So yeah, everyone was obsessed by this gun, and then they attacked him and stole the gun, and then he has to go get it back. I see that side of it, the revenge, but like you mentioned, that final shot where it just zooms in on the gun, like that's a glorification to me. And again, I was just probably having a really sensitive day. If I had to watch this again, I would have probably seen it in a different light. It was just I'm a pacifist, I think, by nature. But it's just yeah, you know, I don't like pugilistic sports for similar reasons. So that I guess that's just what I took from it that day. Yeah. Anyway.
Like I'm not saying that you need to rewatch this movie so you can change your mind on this film. I just
No,
I just feel
no.
like I don't see the read where this is glorifying like this gun is great. Technically, it is a really effective actual weapon. But the
Mm,
problem is because it is the power that people see in it.
yeah.
Because you have the indigenous person wanting this to fight back
Mm,
against, you know, invading people upon their land. You have the most horrible people in the movie wanting this gun to wreak havoc on people. I don't
mm.
think this gun brings out the best in people. And I think
What gun
Man does a
does?
really good job of highlighting. Well, no, exactly. And
Yeah.
I don't think the film's trying to say that it does.
Mm,
But
But
okay.
I see I do see Adam's read on it though, in terms of kind of it's not the gun, it's what the gun can give to an individual, and whether or not that's good or bad is in the eye of the beholder. And in this case, like for everybody in the movie, it is like saying get the gun, get all the power. So I do see the glorification of it. I'm
First you
not
get the
saying
gun, then you get the power.
um and look, there's your triple feature, right? Sister to the Traveling Pants, Winchester 73,
Scarface.
Scarface, or even throw in like a Lord of the Rings right there. So all three movies jammed into one.
Obsessing
So
over a single item, yeah.
yeah. So
and
I
well, to that point, like is Lord of the Rings a read that like if you have great power but you use it well, it's a good thing? No, the ring is
It's
evil and it's
it's
bad.
glorifying jewelry.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is. Yes.
It's a promotion. It's big weddings that created Lord of the Rings.
It's big weddings.
It's- wow.
J.R.R. Tolkien,
By Swarovski.
a lobbyist for big jewelry.
By Swarovski, yes.
Yes, the iconic anti-war story of Lord of the Rings is actually secretly a pro-jewelry propaganda.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think
Wake up, Shane, sheep.
Wake up, sheeple. It's
I
right in
I
front of you.
I am very impressed by the ensemble in this film because this film's a lot less of a Jimmy Stewart led film than you might
Mm,
think. Because there's stretches like he's not in it. But like obviously he's like the anchoring point because once we realize and like I thought it was a really effective twist once we finally realized what the real context of his vendetta against Waco Johnny Dean. And when they have that confrontation, it's intense, it's fiery. Jimmy Stewart, there's a lot of rage in this performance. I'm like, oh, this is like that one stretch in If It's a Wonderful Life stretched out for like a whole entire movie
Mhm.
of him just like breaking. And, you know, I guess in general, Westerns are not a big popular genre at this point, especially like obviously Westerns were infinitely more popular back in 1950.
They were the
Um,
comic books of that era. They were the comic
yeah.
books movies of that era, really.
Mhm.
Well, and
yeah, they were.
this film feels like a Dark Knight Logan kind of darker twist on like the really like horny kind of westerns where it's like we have good guys, we have bad guys. Our quote unquote good guy in this movie is not acting out of honor or any like this is a angry young man. And to be honest, he has every right to be angry. Like this son of a bitch killed his father.
Hmm.
Um,
Mm,
the added context of just how more related they are is actually really interesting and a much darker twist. But I don't know. I obviously like legitimately thought this was a great movie. Um,
mm.
obviously I'm on my little Western island here. But
I liked it too. So hey, I'm with you. I'm not probably not as high as you are, but I liked it.
It's something I'll definitely give another go to though, because these are the type of movies that I like to give second chances, and
But
especially after this
Adam,
conversation where I can see it from a different perspective. Yeah.
But Adam, you know who else was on your side? Probably Shelley Winters, the only woman in this movie. Have you guys read what she said about this movie?
No.
About her
No.
role? She didn't think much of her role. Quote, here you got all these men running around to get their hands on this goddamn rifle, instead of going after a beautiful blonde like me. What does that tell you about the values of that picture? If I hadn't been in it, would anybody have even noticed? And I'm like, so see, Adam,
Yeah.
look, the only female character in this movie, the only woman on the screen is
Yeah.
backing Adam.
That's interesting.
I'm not going to support this movie anymore because I don't support big wedding or big jewelry, so
Big jewelry.
I don't want to do that. Like we've said this before, but again, just the range that Jimmy Stewart has
Yes.
for this is like to cap all three of these movies off with Western, where Shane, you're right, he's filled with a lot of rage and anger, but this kind of unlocks like something different that we don't see from James Stewart very often, but you still find a way to manage to be like, yeah.
This came out the same year as Harvey.
I was about to bring that up, yeah.
Yep.
And talking about his range, like from being mild, meek, and to this angry dude in the same year. I mean, yeah. I mean, I do that daily if you ask my kids with my mood turns, but he did
Both
it twice
Styx
in a year.
and Billy Joel warned us about the angry young man, and he is indeed the protagonist of Winchester 73. But what 100th episode here on the Wasteland Retrospective, from, brown face to uncovering the horrible and deeply powerful lobby of jewelry in the United States and how we are sheep to the system and everything in between. And, touch grass, be a good person. And all of those things all
Rise like
rolled
the
into one,
phoenix.
and rise like a phoenix.
Yes.
I was gonna say another lobbyist could be the big staff from Lord of the Rings, but that's maybe have different connotations.
They might have been talking about those big staffs in Anatomy of a Murder.
Bringing it back.
We came full circle. There you go. Now, this is a pleasure, and I appreciate the crew coming together for this special episode. As some of us, it's pretty late. Some of us, it's last crack of dawn. And, we did it.
There's Luke. And then there's Luke.
Right in
And then there's Luke.
Midday.
Feeling in midday and
in the sweet spot.
But Adam, Luke, and Mike, thank you all so much for coming on for this very special, very extra large episode of the Wasteland Retrospective.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, guys.
Cheers to 100 episodes.
Yes.
Woo-woo. And 100 more. And thank all of you for listening, and make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What is your favorite Jimmy Stewart film? And is it one of these? It would be interesting if it is. Is it A Wonderful Life? Is it Vertigo? There's so many. But make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. We have so many great shows with all types of interests. You love movies. We got plenty of that. And if you want to join the crew as a guest on one of these shows, or you have an idea for a podcast like us, who, some of us have to make a document to throw all the ideas out there, because otherwise I would just have endless podcasts like I don't already. So if you're interested, reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, check out High Flyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.